Hello, my name's Kurt, and this is Simple Shop Creations. And in this video series, I'm going to go through the steps on how I produce multiple copies of this style of cutting board. But first, let me tell you that this introduction is going to be used for all the parts of the process that I upload so you guys can view. So if you want to skip this introduction, it's just you've seen it once before, just go down in the description below, and there'll be chapters of certain portions of the video. And just click on one of the timelines and you can get right to the video. If you like to purchase this template, which I use to create the cutting boards, you can just send an email to simpleshopcreations@gmail.com and we will work out the arrangements from there. There will be a cost associated, so just go down in the description and you can get my email address down there. In addition, there will be above me what part of the video this is and what process or what step we are in the process of batching these small cutting boards out. So with that, let's go ahead and continue on with the video series on how to mass produce these cutting boards. Well, welcome back. And in part 4, I did say in the last video that it was going to be bandsaw routing, but I forgot I got to bring these down to their final thickness before the actual sanding of the board. So here I'm using my router sleds again. I am using the sleds again because some of the glue sticks up a little bit and rocks a little bit. So put some minor wedges underneath, glue it up, and we're going to run it through the planer again, which you'll see here in a second. And then I got to do this at least 4 times. I got 14 boards, so it's going to be 5 times. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Do a little bit of planing, remove it, set up a bunch of new boards, glue them down, do a little more planing, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it gets kind of old fast, but it's what you got to do. So enjoy. Now here you see I'm using a a handheld razor, and it does look like I might be trimming away some of the hard maple, but that's no big deal if you gouge a little bit on the corner, because again you're going to route that down to the final width of 8 inches and by 12 inches long, and then you're going to route over and get a good round nose on either side of the board. So if you gouge a little bit while you're removing the hot glue, no biggie, because you're all going to route it down to size anyway. Now the smaller planer sled board to the right of the one I'm working on, oh, I just picked it up and put it on the top. That's getting a little beat up. So this will probably be the last time I'm gonna use that particular planer sled board. I'm gonna retire it and use it for something else once I figure out what I want to use it for, and buy a new one. Those shells are not too expensive. Like I said before in the part 1, I bought that at one of the home stores. I won't mention Lowe's name, it's like I swear I got it. They're not too expensive, and again, that was already a pre-cut shelf that you find in the shelving section, so easy peasy. I just talk about the planer again. Again, it's a cut pet planer, 13 inch. I guess it's got what, 27, 28 individual cutter heads. It's a benchtop planer, so it can do most of the stuff reasonably well. It's been good. It's been good. Would I buy another benchtop? know, as I stated in part one, I'm probably going to wind up getting some form of a floor model. Don't know which one I want to get, but eventually I'll probably upgrade to a floor model planer. Alright, so now we're coming up to that annoying flashing subscribe button you should see here in about a second. To make that stop, just hit the subscribe button and it should stop flashing. Let me point out something about these mammalian boards that I'm using. They eventually, I guess the hot glue eventually eats away at the top coating, and then you have to start scraping, as you see there, with that plastic wedge, and then I'll move over to that orange chisel there to the right of the small planer board. When you initially first get a board like this or make your own board, the hot glue doesn't stick too much, so you can basically use your finger just to remove it. But over time, using these a couple dozen times, it seems like the hot glue seems to eat away at something with the coating on top of the board there. So that's why I'm using that black wedge and the chisel now, which eventually will really damage the board. Now here I'm going to pick up two boards that seem to be stuck. You should see that coming up now. Let's see what happened there and there. Wait, there we go. I don't know why they were stuck, but I had to pull them apart. And then we go to the long process of figuring out what part is even or not. And in this case here, you can see they're pretty much flat, and I just hot glue the stuff there. And again, we're gonna move on over to the planer portion of this video again. And we're just gonna go back and forth a couple more times until we get the final thickness of these boards. So what I haven't talked about yet is the dust collector system that's hanging off that planer. As you see, that's a 4-inch hose that's going to a 1 horsepower Delta dust collector. It's running off a 15 amp circuit, and that little black thing dangling off of my apron is what controls it on and off. It's a little small remote control. I did do a video on my previous dust collection system. I did a review on the Rockler dust separator using my rigid Shop-Vac. So if you want to go check that out, just go to my channel and you can see that video somewhere. Maybe I'll put an end card up now for it. So go check that out. You can get my review of the Rockler dust separator. So we're coming up to another senior moment. You should see it here in a second. I'm sure you guys have done this plenty of times. Forget that you had your ear protection on when you don't need it. So I finally figured out I had my ear protection on and took it off. But let me go explain something here. I originally had to do 27 boards, and you're only seeing 14 of them videotaped because I had to really make 13 of them really, really quick. So that's why you don't see the full process of 27 boards, and you're only seeing 14. Also, I did do some laser engraving. If you see the thumbnail of this video series, I laser engraved that prior to doing these here, and I did film the laser engraving and how I set it up on the laser software and using my laser engraver. So that'll be part of this series too. It'll probably be the last part, and at the rate I'm going here, it's probably going to be at least 3 more parts of this series. Okay, so here I'm finally to the last portion of the planing, and that's taking the boards now, flipping them over, and planing the other side down a couple times here to get to close to the 3/4 of an inch. I believe each one of those boards are a couple tenths above 3/4 of an inch, so when I go to the final sanding process, we should be just spot on at the 0.75 of an inch. Now just keep on watching this here for a little bit. There's going to be a incident coming up. Nothing serious. Oh, there's that blinking subscribe button again. Just press the subscribe button, it goes away. You'll just see what happens here in probably about 30 seconds. Coming up, 30 seconds to a minute. And then let me know about your thoughts about what happened here. Nothing dangerous. So just hang out here a minute and so, what do you think about that catch? But anyway, we're coming up to the end of the video here, and now in part 5 of this video, we will be going to the bandsaw and using the routing table to get these down to the final dimensions of 8 by 12 inches. So with that, have yourself a wonderful and happy and healthy day. Until part 5, we'll see you.